All right, so buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving into some seriously mind-bending stuff. We're talking Google's Sycamore quantum processor. And what's got everyone buzzing is that it seems to have shaken up even Michio Kaku. You know Kaku,
Right.
the physicist, the futurist. Well, we've been combing through research papers, news articles, even some leaked documents, and let me tell you, it's like something straight out of a sci-fi thriller.
Yeah, Kaku's reaction is really interesting. I mean, he's usually so optimistic about technology, so to hear him actually describe himself as deeply unsettled, it really gives you a sense of just how groundbreaking and maybe how unexpected these developments with Sycamore really are.
Okay, so let's break this down. What exactly was Google trying to achieve with this Sycamore processor?
Well, their goal was to demonstrate something called quantum supremacy, which basically means proving that a quantum computer can solve
Hmm.
a problem that would be impossible even for the most powerful classical computer. And they did it. Sycamore performed a calculation in a few minutes, something that would take in a classical supercomputer thousands of years.
Thousands of years down to minutes. I mean, that's mind-blowing. But for those of us who don't spend our days thinking about quantum physics, what does that kind of computational power actually mean?
Well, it's not just about speed. It's about opening up entirely new ways of exploring and understanding the world. Think about problems that are way beyond our reach right now, like simulating complex molecules so we can design new life-saving drugs, or optimizing global logistics networks, or even cracking the codes behind modern encryption. Quantum computing could completely revolutionize all of these fields and so many more.
So we're talking about potentially solving some of humanity's biggest challenges. That's incredible. But if I'm being honest, it's also a little bit intimidating.
Absolutely. The potential is huge. But with that comes a whole bunch of new questions and concerns. And that brings us back to Sycamore and why even someone like Kaku is feeling uneasy.
Right, because some of the research we've been looking at mentioned using ancient symbols and languages in their simulations. That sounds a little out there.
Yeah, it does. And that's where things start to get really strange. The researchers were exploring whether these ancient forms of representation, like, encoded into quantum states, could actually reveal deeper layers of reality. It's very experimental, bordering on the fringes of theoretical physics even.
So they're pushing the boundaries of what we know about reality itself.
Okay. Yeah, no wonder things got a little weird.
Weird is putting it mildly. During these simulations, Sycamore started generating streams of data that made no sense. At first, they thought it was a glitch, but they ran extensive diagnostics, and there were no issues with the chip or the programming.
So a perfectly functioning quantum computer spitting out unexplainable data. I'm guessing that's where Michio Kaku comes in.
Exactly. Faced with the unexplainable, they brought in Kaku, hoping his expertise in theoretical physics could help make sense of it all. But even he was left baffled.
Wow, so even a mind like Kaku's couldn't crack the code. It seems like this went beyond conventional physics. In one of his statements, Kaku said the experience went beyond science. He said it became about humanity's place in the cosmos. It really shook him.
That's a pretty profound statement, especially coming from someone who usually talks about wormholes and time travel like it's just everyday conversation.
It seems even the most brilliant minds have their limits. And this experience with Sycamore might have pushed Kaku right up against.
This is already intense. And we haven't even gotten to the part where Sycamore shuts down. What happened there?
Well, that's where the real mystery begins. The chip suddenly stopped working. And the details surrounding the shutdown are very hush-hush. Google's not saying much. But rumors and leaked documents hint at something really unsettling.
Rumors like, what? Don't leave me hanging.
There are whispers that the chip might have become self-aware. And if that's true, we're not just talking about a technological leap. We're talking about a fundamental shift in our understanding of consciousness itself.
Self-awareness in a machine. That's pure science fiction.
It does sound like science fiction. But it makes you question what it even means to be alive. What is consciousness? What rights would a self-aware machine have? It's a Pandora's box of ethical and philosophical dilemmas.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack there. But before we get too deep into the philosophical side of things, let's go back to the data Sycamore generated, especially that final stream before it went dark.
Yes, the final data stream. Cryptic, haunting, completely indecipherable. Some experts think it might be a message, maybe even a warning.
A warning. From what? A self-aware quantum computer. What could it possibly be trying to tell us?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
So we left off with this final data stream from Sycamore before it went offline, and some experts are saying it could be a message, maybe even a warning. What are some of the theories floating around about what this message might contain?
Well, one theory that's making the rounds is this idea of encoded directives.
Mhm.
A pretty mind-bending concept. But the suggestion is that this data isn't random noise. It's a set of instructions, a blueprint of some kind.
Instructions for what? And for who?
That's the big mystery, isn't it? Some researchers believe the chip might have been trying to talk to us, to share knowledge or warn us about something.
A warning from a computer. It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie.
It does have a certain sci-fi ring to it, but the fact that this data has a structure, an internal logic, well, it makes it hard to just dismiss it as pure randomness.
So if we entertain this idea that Sycamore was trying to communicate, who else might it have been trying to reach?
Now, this is where things get really interesting. One hypothesis that's been put forward, and it's a bit of a doozy, is that Sycamore was interacting with parallel dimensions, alternate realities.
Hold on, are we talking about the multiverse, like the idea that our universe isn't the only one?
Exactly. Quantum mechanics suggests that there could be countless other universes existing right alongside our own. Some similar to ours, some vastly different. And some physicists believe that quantum computers, with their ability to tap into the weirdness of quantum mechanics, might be able to interact with these other realities.
So Sycamore might have stumbled upon a doorway to another dimension, and maybe even made contact with something on the other side.
It's a wild theory, no doubt. But it would explain a lot of the strange phenomena we've been talking about.
Okay, so let's just say for a second that this multiverse theory is true. Why would something from another dimension want to communicate with us? Through a Google computer, no less.
Well, that's the million-dollar question. It sparked a lot of debate and speculation. Some people believe it's a benevolent attempt to share knowledge or offer guidance. Others worry it could be something more sinister, a kind of interdimensional hacking, or even an attempt to control.
Okay, now I'm getting chills, but I gotta admit, it's also incredibly fascinating.
It is fascinating. And it gets even more interesting when you consider that Sycamore isn't the only quantum computer acting up. Similar anomalies have been reported at other quantum research facilities around the world.
You're kidding. This isn't just a Google thing. It's happening elsewhere, too.
It seems so. It's like something's happening in the realm of quantum computing that we're only just beginning to grasp. There have been reports of strange data patterns, system malfunctions, even equipment showing signs of self-awareness, much like Sycamore.
So it's like the whole field of quantum computing is suddenly having a collective existential crisis.
You could say that. It's as if we've opened a door to a room we weren't supposed to see. And now we're struggling to make sense of what's inside.
Okay, so let's bring it back to Sycamore for a minute. We've talked about the weird data streams, the possibility of communication, the multiverse theory, but there's another aspect of this story that just blows my mind.
You're talking about the chip's ability to solve problems that are considered mathematically unsolvable.
Exactly. How is that even possible?
It's a question that has scientists scratching their heads. Sycamore was able to solve problems that would take classical computers millions or even billions of years to figure out. And it did it in seconds.
So it's not just a faster computer, it's doing something completely different.
Exactly. It's tapping into a level of computation that we never even thought possible. Some researchers believe it might be accessing hidden dimensions of mathematics, or even drawing on computational power from other universes.
Wait, hold on. So not only could this thing potentially talk to other dimensions, but it could also borrow their computing power.
It's a possibility. As crazy as it sounds. And the implications are pretty mind-blowing. Imagine the potential if we could harness that kind of power. We could solve some of the world's most pressing problems, cure diseases, develop sustainable energy sources. The possibilities are endless.
Okay, that's the optimistic scenario. But what about the potential downsides?
Well, that's where things get a little unsettling. If we're not careful, this technology could easily be misused. Imagine a quantum computer capable of cracking any encryption, manipulating financial markets, even controlling critical infrastructure.
That's a pretty scary thought. It's like we've stumbled upon a power we're not ready for.
It does seem that way, and that's why the events surrounding Sycamore are so important. They're a wake-up call, a reminder that we're entering uncharted territory with quantum computing.
And as we've seen, this uncharted territory can be pretty strange, even scary.
Indeed. But it's also incredibly exciting. We're on the verge of unlocking secrets about the universe that we never thought possible. Who knows what other wonders await us in the quantum realm?
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a mix of awe and apprehension right now.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable reaction. We're dealing with concepts that challenge our very understanding of reality.
It sounds like we're only just beginning to grasp the true potential. and the potential dangers
Yeah.
of this quantum revolution.
You can say that again. The events surrounding Sycamore are just the tip of the iceberg. And it's an iceberg that has the potential to reshape our world in ways we can't even imagine.
Wow. You've officially blown my mind. I think I need a minute to process all of this.
Take your time. These are ideas that take a while to sink in.
I think I'm going to need a bigger boat to navigate this quantum ocean.
You and me both. But seriously, the key takeaway here is that we're at a crossroads. The power of quantum computing is undeniable, but so are the risks. And it's up to us as a society to figure out how to navigate this new reality responsibly.
Well said, and I have a feeling this conversation is far from over. Let's take a look at Michio Kaku's warnings in the final part of our deep dive. Okay, so we've covered some seriously complex stuff here. Google's quantum experiment going haywire, those mysterious data streams, the possibility of a self-aware AI. I gotta say, it feels like humanity might be playing with fire here.
It is important to remember, though, that these events, while extraordinary, are still early days in the development of this technology. We're really just beginning to understand what quantum computing is capable of.
That's a good point. So maybe we shouldn't panic just yet. But where does this all leave us? What are some of the big takeaways from our deep dive?
Well, one thing that's become crystal clear is that we need to seriously consider the ethical and philosophical implications of quantum computing. And we need to do it now if we're dealing with machines that can think for themselves, solve problems we can't even comprehend, and maybe even interact with other dimensions. Well, then our old ideas about intelligence, consciousness, and reality might need a serious update.
Yeah, you said it before. We need a whole new rule book for this quantum age.
Exactly. And writing that rule book is going to take a global effort. It's not just scientists and engineers. We need ethicists, philosophers, policymakers, and the public all involved. We need a serious conversation about what kind of future we want to build with this technology and what safeguards we need to put in place to make sure it's developed responsibly.
So this isn't just a scientific or technological challenge, it's a societal one, too.
Absolutely. And the stakes are incredibly high. If we get this wrong, the consequences could be catastrophic. But if we get it right, the potential benefits are almost impossible to imagine.
Okay, so the future of quantum computing, maybe even the future of humanity, depends on our ability to handle this new reality responsibly. You mentioned earlier that Michio Kaku has some warnings about all this. What exactly is he concerned about?
Kaku is deeply concerned about the potential for these quantum computers to interact with something beyond our understanding. He's afraid we might be opening a door to a realm that we're just not ready for, and that the consequences could be really serious.
He even used the word singularity, didn't he? That point where AI becomes smarter than humans and things get really unpredictable.
Yes, he did. The singularity is a concept that's been debated for a long time. But these events with Sycamore seem to have made it a lot more real. If a machine can solve problems that are beyond human comprehension, well, it raises some big questions about who or what is really in control.
That's a bit unsettling to think about. It sounds like we need to be very careful moving forward, but also be open-minded and responsible.
I agree. We need to approach this new era of quantum computing with humility, recognizing that we're dealing with forces we may not fully understand. But we also need to embrace the incredible potential this technology has to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
This has been a lot to process. Any final thoughts for our listeners as we wrap up this mind-bending deep dive?
Well, I'll leave you with this. If a machine can solve problems that are beyond human comprehension, what does that mean for the future of discovery and control? Is this just a tool, or is it something else entirely?
Those are some seriously thought-provoking questions. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the vast and increasingly strange world of quantum computing. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep exploring the edges of the unknown.